If you're watching this video, chances are you're tired of being the same person you were last year. You want 2025 to be different. You want to build real resilience, laser focus, and the kind of personal growth that actually sticks. Well, 2,000 years ago, a Roman emperor wrote in his journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to use that power with 8 Stoic practices that will completely reinvent your life. But here's the thing, these aren't just philosophical concepts you'll forget about tomorrow. These are practical, daily habits that you can start using immediately. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll have a complete blueprint for transformation. I'm Unyielding Light, and if you're new here, this channel is all about taking ancient wisdom and making it work in your modern life. And before we dive in, let me ask you something. How many self-help books have you read? How many motivational videos have you watched? How many times have you started a new habit only to quit after a week? The reason most personal development fails isn't because the advice is bad. It's because it's not designed to handle the chaos of real life. But Stoicism was literally battle-tested by emperors, slaves, and everyone in between. These practices have survived 2,000 years because they work. Now, I'm not going to tell you to read dense philosophy books or meditate for hours. These 8 practices are designed for people with jobs, families, and real responsibilities. They're what I call Stoicism for the real world. So if you're ready to stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the architect of your life, smash that like button and let's dive in. Practice number 1 is what I call the daily dichotomy, and it's based on the most fundamental Stoic principle, the dichotomy of control. Epictetus said some things are within our power, while others are not. Sounds simple, right? But here's how you actually use this. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you dive into your day, spend just 60 seconds asking yourself, what can I control today? And what can't I? Write it down. 2 columns. That's it. Can't control. Your boss's mood, traffic, the weather, other people's opinions. Can control your effort, your attitude, your responses, your preparation. This isn't about being passive. It's about focusing your energy where it actually matters. I started doing this 6 months ago, and it completely changed how I handle stress. Instead of getting frustrated about things I can't change, I channel that energy into things I can. Your anxiety will drop, your productivity will skyrocket, and you'll stop feeling like life is happening to you. But knowing what you can control is just the beginning. You also need to actually learn from your experiences, which brings us to practice number 2. Marcus Aurelius didn't just write random thoughts in his journal. He practiced what Stoics call evening reflection. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think journaling is about writing down feelings. This is different. Every night, before bed, ask yourself 3 questions. What did I do well today? What could I have done better? What did I learn? That's it. 5 minutes maximum. Here's what this looks like in practice. Last Tuesday, I had a difficult conversation with a colleague. That night, I wrote, did well, stayed calm, listened first, could improve, asked better questions, followed up sooner. Learned, preparation reduces anxiety. 27 words that made me better at handling conflict. This practice does two things. It reinforces good behavior and prevents you from making the same mistakes twice. Seneca said, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Evening reflection is how you consciously end each day and begin the next one wiser. Now, reflection helps you learn from what happened. But what if you could prepare for what might happen? That's where our third practice comes in. PRACTIveIC3NEGIVEVISULIZATION. Don't worry, this isn't about being pessimistic. Negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum, is about building emotional resilience by imagining challenges before they happen. Think of it as mental rehearsal. Once a week, spend 5 minutes imagining losing something you value. Your job, your health, a relationship. Not to be morbid, but to appreciate what you have and prepare for what you might face. Here's how I use this. Every Sunday, I imagine my biggest project failing. Not because I want it to fail, but because when I imagine it, I automatically start thinking about backup plans, alternative approaches, and ways to minimize damage. It's like having a fire drill for your life. This practice completely changes your relationship with setbacks. Instead of being devastated when things go wrong, you're prepared. You've already mentally rehearsed. Obstacles become expected rather than catastrophic. When I lost a major client last year, I wasn't devastated because I'd already imagined it happening. I had backup plans ready, alternative income sources lined up, and the emotional resilience to keep moving forward. That's the power of negative visualization. But sometimes, even with preparation, we get caught up in the small stuff. That's when you need to zoom out, which is exactly what our fourth practice teaches you to do. PRACTIVIEWFROMABOVF. Marcus Aurelius had this incredible technique for gaining perspective. He would imagine himself looking down at his problems from space, seeing them as tiny parts of a much larger whole. Today, we call this the view from above. When you're stressed, overwhelmed, or caught up in drama, take a mental step back. Imagine viewing your situation from 10 feet above, then 100 feet, then 1,000 feet. How important does your problem look now? I use this technique in meetings all the time. When someone's getting heated about a minor issue, I mentally zoom out and ask, will this matter in a week? A month? A year? Usually, the answer is no. And I can respond with calm perspective instead of matching their energy. This practice doesn't minimize real problems. It helps you distinguish between what deserves your emotional energy and what doesn't. It's like having a built-in priority filter for your stress. Last month, I was furious about a negative review online. I was ready to write a detailed response, argue with the person, defend myself. Then I took the view from above. In a year, would this review matter? Would anyone remember it? The answer was no. So I let it go and spent that energy on something that actually mattered. Speaking of perspective, our next practice is about the ultimate perspective, remembering that nothing lasts forever. Practice 5, Memento, Morimindset. Memento Mori means remember you will die. Before you click away, hear me out. This isn't about being morbid, it's about living with urgency and purpose. When you truly accept that your time is limited, everything changes. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You stop putting off important conversations. You stop waiting for the perfect moment to start living. Here's a simple way to use this. Every morning, remind yourself that this day is not guaranteed. Ask yourself, if this were my last day, what would I prioritize? Then, actually prioritize those things. This isn't about living in fear of death. It's about living with appreciation for life. Steve Jobs said, "Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose." I keep a coin in my pocket that says, Memento Mori. Every time I feel it, I remember that this moment is temporary and precious. It stops me from getting angry about traffic, from avoiding difficult conversations, from putting off things that matter. This practice gives you courage because you realize that most of what you're afraid of doesn't actually matter. It gives you focus because you stop wasting time on trivial things. And it gives you gratitude because you appreciate what you have while you have it. But appreciation isn't just about life and death. It's about understanding the true value of everything in your life. Which brings us to practice number 6. Practice 6. Preferdindifferents. The Stoics had this concept called preferred indifference. These are things that are generally good to have: money, health, reputation, but they're not necessary for happiness or virtue. This doesn't mean you don't care about success or money. It means your happiness doesn't depend on them. You prefer to have them, but you're not attached to them. Here's how this works in practice. Pursue your goals with full effort, but hold the outcomes lightly. Work hard for that promotion, but don't let your self-worth depend on getting it. Take care of your health, but don't let a bad day at the gym ruin your mood. I used to check my business metrics obsessively. Good numbers made me feel great. Bad numbers ruined my day. Now I work just as hard, but I remember that these numbers are preferred indifference. I prefer them to be good, but my peace of mind doesn't depend on them. This practice gives you incredible emotional stability. You can pursue ambitious goals without the anxiety that usually comes with them. You can enjoy success without ego and handle failure without devastation. But sometimes, even when we understand what matters and what doesn't, we still want things we can't have. That's where our 7th practice comes in. Practice 7. Epictetus taught that we suffer not because of what happens to us, but because we want things to be different than they are. The discipline of desire is about wanting what happens, not making what you want happen. This isn't about being passive, or giving up on goals. It's about accepting reality as your starting point, not fighting against it. When something doesn't go your way, instead of saying this shouldn't be happening, try saying this is what's happening. How can I respond well? It's a small shift in language that creates a huge shift in mindset. Your flight gets canceled. Old response: this is terrible. This ruins everything. New response: this is what's happening. How can I use this time productively? Maybe you catch up on reading, have a conversation with a stranger, or simply practice patience. This practice eliminates the internal resistance that creates most of our suffering. When you stop fighting reality, you free up all that energy to actually deal with the situation. I use this when dealing with difficult people. Instead of thinking they shouldn't act this way, I think this is how they're acting. How can I respond with wisdom and patience? It completely changes the dynamic. Now, all of these practices work better when you start your day with the right mindset. Which brings us to our final practice. Practice 8. Marcus Aurelius started each day by reminding himself of the challenges he might face and the virtues he wanted to embody. This isn't about positive thinking, it's about mental preparation. Every morning, spend 2 minutes doing this. First, think about the people you'll interact with today. Remind yourself that they might be difficult, and that's okay. It's an opportunity to practice patience and understanding. Second, set an intention for the kind of person you want to be today. Patient, focused, courageous. Choose one virtue and commit to it. This practice primes your brain to respond rather than react. When someone's rude to you, instead of being surprised and reactive, you're prepared and intentional. My morning routine takes 5 minutes total. 1 minute for the daily dichotomy. 2 minutes for morning preparation. 2 minutes to review my priorities for the day. That's it. 5 minutes that set the tone for everything that follows. Notice how all these practices work together. You start your day prepared. You focus on what you can control. It's a complete system for mental strength and emotional resilience. Here's your challenge. Pick one of these practices and commit to it for 30 days. Just one. Don't try to do all 8. That's a recipe for failure. Master one, then add another. I recommend starting with either the daily dichotomy or evening reflection. They're simple. They take less than 5 minutes, and they build the foundation for everything else. In the comments below, tell me which practice you're going to start with and why. I read every comment, and I want to support you on this journey. Remember, the goal isn't to become a perfect Stoic philosopher. The goal is to become a little bit stronger, a little bit wiser, and a little bit more resilient every single day. That's how you reinvent your life, not with dramatic transformations, but with small, consistent improvements that compound over time. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps more people discover these ideas. Subscribe if you want more practical philosophy for modern life, and click the bell so you don't miss any new videos. And remember what Marcus Aurelius wrote: the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. The best way to handle a chaotic world is not to become chaotic yourself, but to become an island of calm, strength, and wisdom. That's what these practices will give you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay strong and stay wise.